Hello, this is Juniper of Solavi Studio, joyfully unifying nature-inspired perceptions with evolving rhythm. I need to get that down. Anyways, today is Moonderful Monday, and on Mondays I would like to speak of the moon, which has been a very important aspect of my life. When my daughter was born, Yamiya came to me really strongly. I had known of her for a few years, but she came to me and said, hey. And so for Imbolc of 2003, every full moon, my daughter was 3 months old at that time, the first time I went, I would put her in the sling and drive to the only sandy beach in my area. Most of the beaches are sandstone and rocky, but there's one sandy beach. And so I would drive half an hour from my house, go to that beach. You have to walk between a quarter and a half mile through the forest, down this very, very steep sandstone bit, across the railroad tracks, through more forest, and then finally you're by the madronas and all the cedars and firs and pines, and can find trails down to the beach. It's beautiful, beautiful place. I'll take you there sometime, and you can see the San Juan Islands. It's phenomenal. So started in February, taking her down, and sometimes it was raining and sometimes it was winding and sometimes it was sunny and beautiful. But no matter the weather, on the full moon, I would put my daughter in the sling and we would hike down to the beach. And I didn't always stay long if it was cold and nasty out, because I didn't want her to get too cold, and I get pretty cold myself. So, but even before then, I'm fortunate to live in an area where there's I don't know how to describe the people here. Open-minded people, I guess. And in the local co-op, and in one of the local herb shops, and the occult shop wasn't open then, but it is now, but each year, there's a group of women in Oregon who I believe live off the grid. They live in intentional community, and they put together this calendar called the Wee Moon. I've been getting this for a long time because it was available at the co-op, and I shop there all the time. And this year's theme is La Luna. And one of the things I really love about this book is all of the art, all of the poems have been contributed by people who submit their work. And the people who put this together, they go through all of the submissions and then choose which gets printed. It's sustainably manufactured. It's printed using recycled paper and low VOC soy-based inks. One of the beginning pages, you have an outline of the year with all the full and new moons for that year, just year at a glance type of thing. Then it goes into, a lot of things like astrological events, eclipses, Mercury retrogrades, the theme for the year, Chinese zodiac, all those things. And it's set up in chapters of the moon. So there's someone's artwork. Let's see who made that. Denise Kester drew that. And then there's poems and different things, and they always have who wrote them and who drew them or painted them. And their information is in the back of the book. Another thing I really love about this book is they go through at a glance zodiac signs for the year as you progress. There's this is full. anyways, I could go on and on. They have a chart in here with all the moons. That's how I track my cycle. There's like a monthly, geez, the light is shifting. It's like a monthly moon thing for at a glance. There's an ephemeris, so you can see which planets are where at any given point in the year. It's just lovely. So today I wanted to talk about the upcoming new moon in Gemini on Wednesday. Let's see. A few years ago, my dear friend Sarah, I don't know if I should share too much personal information on here without their permission first, but she is very familiar with astrology, and the way she reads charts, it's fabulous. But she let me know, or made me aware, that when right now the sun is in Gemini, so the new moon will always be in the same sign as the sun, even though the moon changes zodiac signs every 2.5 days. And then the full moon is in the opposite sign, so the full moon this month will be in Sagittarius, which is Gemini's opposite. And then when we go to December, the full moon in December will be in Gemini. So one of the things I'm experimenting with this year is to make an intention for each new moon based on the zodiac sign. And then in 6 months, so the intention I make on Wednesday, in 6 months I'll check in. And then even taking it a step further, that each month when the sun goes into Gemini, or the moon, sorry, each month when the moon goes into Gemini, I can write it in my calendar because it has the moon signs marked for every single day. I can just write it in my calendar of, oh, hey, remember to review this intention, so that I can really live my life full of intention and stay on course. But at any time, things can get changed and revised. So some of my thoughts for the new moon in Gemini were Gemini is really about communication and community and networking and that sort of thing. So some of the thoughts that I had about a goal, intention, something that you can set in the next few days, because the new moon is actually Wednesday, is looking in your life and seeing if there's relationships that need mending, either with family members, coworkers, friends, and to just lighten your load and lighten theirs too. You know, if there's been a miscommunication, if there's been hurt feelings, if there's something going on, just reach out your hand. Don't expect them to respond in a certain way, and if they choose not to respond, then that's their choice. But if there's any relationships in your life that have been weighed down by something, just try to clear that air. Another type of intention you could set for the new moon in Gemini is in the way in which you communicate. My son would probably kill me if he knew I was sharing this, but my son has been making repetitive sounds. You know, I mean, his whole life he has. And whether it's, you know, vroom vroom car sounds or gun sounds, or I don't know, just in my experience, my son makes a lot of sounds. Lately, he's been saying the word donkey repeatedly, and it grates on my nerves. But what my son has really taught me is I have to be really careful with the words I choose to address things with him. If I just pop off, like, stop that type of a thing, then he gets his feelings hurt, and that's where he stays. His feelings are hurt, he can't hear anything else. But if I approach him in a way, and he's taught me this since he was quite young, if I approach him in a way of right now I'm finding that sound very, very irritating. Will you please not do that right now? If I approach him in that way, just very calm, very speaking my own truth, but still being gentle with the other person. Like, how do you communicate to people that you interact with? How do you communicate to people in public, people at your workplace, people in your family, people just as you go about your daily things? What words do you use? How patient are you? How are your words loving, or are they harsh? So that's another, because I've personally had to be more aware of that, because sometimes my children really test my patience. And through the years, I've realized that it's not necessarily what the thought I'm trying to convey. Often they're not even aware of how their sounds or actions or things affect anyone else. It's not something they're thinking about. So how do I address those things for their benefit, but also for my sanity? Another way you can approach the new moon in Gemini on Wednesday is in communicating along the theme of communicating and community, networking, and that sort of thing, is self-confidence in your gifts and talents. And how do you share your true self with your family members, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your community, whether it's your local community or a global community? How can you walk your true path that you're intended to be on and share the beauty from within? So that could be another goal type of thing that you could work on. And then, like I said, every month when the moon hits Gemini, and you can find this information for free online. You can get free apps for your phones. You can set it up on a calendar, however you want to do it. But but every month when the moon gets in Gemini, just take a look. Okay, this is what I wanted to bring about in my life. Am I doing it? Because a lot of times what I found is that, especially, I noticed this a long time ago with New Year's resolutions. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to focus on making this big change in my life. And then, I'd do all right for a bit, and then time would go, and then I would just forget about that goal that I set for myself. So in my own life, I'm trying to come up with ways in which, in my daily spiritual practice, I can remember to pay attention to my goals, pay attention to my intentions, and try to integrate them. And at any point, revise, whatever. But also writing it when the moon is intensely in a sign, either the new moon or the full moon. That only happens every 6 months. So now on Wednesday, the new moon will be in Gemini. So what is your intention? Write it down on the calendar, in your phone app, whatever. And then on the winter solstice, it's actually, I looked it up. So here's, oh goodness, the light. Wednesday, the new moon in Gemini at 12:43 Pacific Standard Time. And then you have winter solstice with the full moon is kind of in between Friday and Saturday, but on winter solstice, can you not see that? The full moon in Gemini. So that's what I have for you today. Think about how you want to more effectively interact with your community or people you live with through communication. Okay, blessings on your day.